are holding their sittings. And in that same zoological republic, they understand that there is something called the law of necessity. So, giving the excuse that referendum is not in their constitution is not an excuse. But yet, they rejected it all. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu spoke for so many years until he decided to take the bull by the horn. It got to the extent that when he began to make a case for Biafra, even up to the United Nations, nobody was paying attention. All they were telling him is to go and begin to do something. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu enumerated to them what transpired in Biafra war and what has continued to happen in Biafra land, what we have gone through and what have passed through in video evidence, picture evidence, audio evidence. Yet they told Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, it is true we fought a war from 1967 to 1970. That we know. But why did you stop? They were asking him, why did you stop? Now you understand that these people are not going to come to your rescue until you do something. These are what everyone has seen, including our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa, and he took the bold step. Just like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did, Mazi Simon Ekpa also came out and began to speak to the world, began to attend so many talk shows, began to speak to governments of the world. And he was not just speaking, he was also making sure that self-defense is activated in the homeland to protect the life of the people. The involvement of Nigerian government in disappearance, kidnapping, and extrajudicial killing of Biafrans is not something that we talk about or exaggerate. There are facts on that. Go to Amnesty International platform, type on the issue of Biafra, on how Nigeria treats the Biafran people. You are going to see the report. They are all there. That has not stopped. It has continued up to this moment as we speak. But instead of them weighing in to either sanction Nigeria or call their attention to let these people go, they continue to fight against those who have brought themselves out to speak up for the freedom of Biafran people. Talking about Biafra has become a crime. When you discuss Biafra online, you are being treated differently. Even the social media networks handle your programs differently. When you speak about Biafra in offices, some offices will not even attend to you. They won't pay attention. At a point in time, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said, whenever you go to the United Nations and mention Biafra, once the topic comes out, people begin to go away. Why is this so? It is because every single one of them that call themselves the world powers has interest in Nigeria. They are part of the looting and starvation, looting and criminal activity that is happening in that contraption called Nigeria. That is simply what it means. And we have seen on several videos that have been released alleging how these very countries are involved in activities in Nigeria. We know the evil and the atrocities of Shell in Nigeria. We know what the ExxonMobil is doing. And so many other oil companies that are in Nigeria, owned by the French, by the United Kingdom, by the United States. And they don't want to let go. And these are the people that are making sure that even though that area is the richest place you can talk about, if not in the world, in Africa, yet they cannot be able to manage themselves. They continue to tell lies to the people through the selected leaders. And this is one thing we will not accept. This is what Mazi Simon Ekpa saw, and he took the bull by the horn and continue to call out the government of Nigeria instead of paying attention or listening. Finland sold their conscience and betrayed Mazi Simon Ekpa. And they brought us where we are today. And after that betrayal, it is sad that today, that same country that took away a freedom fighter is in the front line of making noise and saying that they want to recognize another country that is fighting for their freedom. You want to recognize a country that is fighting for their freedom, and you detain somebody who is fighting for the freedom of his own people. Not just somebody. We are talking about somebody who the people have chosen to speak to them on the capacity of a prime minister. The number of people that elected Mazi Simon Ekpa as a prime minister is greater than the number of people that elected Alex Stock. Biafrans are more than 80 million in number. And in the self-referendum, more than 50 million people voted. How many are Finland in population? So you can see that even Mazi Simon Ekpa as a prime minister has more legitimacy than Finland. More number of people voted for him than more people that voted for Alex Stock. And how can you tell me that more than 80 million people are not enough to make a country? By the way, Biafra has been on its own before the British came and began to merge everybody together. Begin to force people to be where they are not supposed to be. And we will not accept that. It does not matter how they try to do it. It doesn't matter their propaganda and their blackmail. We will never accept that manipulation. And that is why we are speaking loudly. Because we still believe there are still people who have conscience on this planet Earth. There are still men of conscience. I believe so. There are still men of conscience in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in Germany, in France. There are still people who have conscience in them. Every one of them that care about humanity should begin to speak up about the situation of Biafra. You can imagine in a time where it is very clear where the government of Nigeria stands and what they are doing. A Canadian court came out for the very first time to tell us that the ruling parties in Nigeria are terrorist organizations. What you expect to happen after saying this is the sanctions coming from right, left, and center. But instead of sanctions, we are still seeing countries like the United States going into deals with Nigeria. What a sad thing to see. Everyone that is concerned outside the world there should speak to the Finland authorities to let Mazi Simon Ekpa go. Because those that gave them information upon which they are capitalizing on detaining Mazi Simon Ekpa are terrorists. I don't know why you use the information from a terrorist to prosecute a legitimate citizen of your country. There's an information that on the 18-19, that's today and tomorrow, Minister of Foreign Affairs Maria Stingard is traveling to Nuusio in Finland to take part in meeting of Nordic foreign ministers. And we encourage the Canadian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Anita Anand, to also present the issue of Nigeria there and speak to them. And remind them that Nigeria is a terrorist country and no sensible country should work with them. Because we know the Canadian Minister of Foreign Affairs will also participate in that meeting. But as you can see, the global conspiracy, when it comes to Africans, things are done differently. Even when they know the truth, because it does not serve their own purpose, they will not speak about it. And we ask, will the Canadian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Anita Anand, inform Elena Valtona, the Finnish foreign minister, that her country collaborated with a known terrorist state, Nigeria, to abduct and incarcerate Prime Minister Simon Ekpa? Will she be able to do that? You are going into a meeting. Use that good office and tell the Finnish authorities to let go Mazi Simon Ekpa because he's an innocent man. I don't see how a sensible country could rely on information coming from a terrorist. I don't know how you can prosecute a citizen of a country, somebody who has served on the highest level, on different levels in Finland, yet you are detaining him based on information given to you by a terrorist group. Canada has officially ruled Nigeria a terrorist state. That is what it means by that report you saw. A court of that level declaring the two ruling party in Nigeria, a court declared them terrorist organization. It speaks volume. It means that Canada has officially ruled Nigeria a terrorist state. It is therefore a matter of grave concern that Finland, a European Union member, join with the state-sponsored terrorism to target and incarcerate the Prime Minister of the United States of Biafra citizen in Finland. And that is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And the world must not keep silent. The world must not keep silent. Because the evidence upon which Mazi Simon was taken away from us is false information gotten from a terrorist group. How can anybody continue to believe such informations? And I love some of the write-up that was put up on the platform of the United States of Biafra. We will continue to speak and we will continue to air our opinion that Mazi Simon Ekpa must be released with immediate effect. They are telling us September. September is here. Today is 19th. The continuous incarceration of Mazi Simon Ekpa, the Prime Minister of United States of Biafra, is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. It is deeply contradictory for Finland to speak about prioritizing humanitarian aid while at the same time cooperating with regime that creates the very crisis driving humanitarian needs by working with Nigeria, a state actively responsible for the persecution, killing, and starvation of Biafrans. Finland is not merely complicit, but is directly helping sustain the condition that forces millions into humanitarian dependence. This is absolute truth. How can you be preaching against displacement of people? How can you be preaching against starvation? At the same time, you are supporting a government that is starving people. You are supporting a government that is causing humanitarian crisis. A terrorist government, well known. How does that add up? How can Finland claim legitimacy in the global humanitarian discourse when it facilitates policies that destroy lives and then turn around to posture as a provider of relief? Wherever there is crisis, they go there, they say they want to send relief. Meanwhile, you are detaining a man that is standing against starvation. A man that is fighting against humanitarian crisis in Biafra land. Okay, you are waiting for the time when Biafrans will go to IDP camp, then they will call you to come and provide humanitarian aid. And then you will come and claim to be a provider. The double standard that we must not accept. Real humanitarianism begins with preventing atrocities. Exactly, prevention, not enabling them. The best humanitarian aid you can give is to prevent that calamity from coming. That is excellent, excellently written. Real humanitarianism begins with preventing atrocities, not enabling them, until Finland stopped aligning itself with governments that commit crime against people like the Biafrans. Its voice in humanitarian aid will remain hollow and hypocritical. That's exactly what it is. A very strong hypocrite, that's what they are. And we don't miss word in that. Incarceration of Simon Ekpa. Any arrest conducted without due process, devoid of legal legitimacy, marked by procedural irregularities, facilitated through official complicity, and in contravention of established human rights principles, cannot be regarded as lawful. Rather, it constitutes an act of abduction, effectively a kidnapping under international law. So, in other words, the continued detention of Mazi Simon Ekpa is also a kidnap. That is how we, the Biafrans, see it. You kidnapped our president, and we cannot keep silent. You kidnapped the president of a state. A prime minister that was elected by more than 50 million people, you take him away. And you feel that we'll keep silent and clap for you. No, it's not going to happen. After committing this crime, in the other way around, you come around and you are saying different things altogether. You are going all around preaching about humanitarian help, humanitarian support, giving humanitarian support, going to Palestine or wherever to go and talk about recognizing them. Meanwhile, in a place where the main humanity is supposed to be looked into to prevent it from happening, you are the one fostering it to make it happen. Only waiting for the Biafrans to face another genocide, then you will come and provide aid. That is what you are waiting for, and nothing else. It is deeply contradictory for Finland to speak about prioritizing humanitarian aids, while at the same time cooperating with the regime that creates the very crime driving humanitarian needs by working with Nigeria, a state actively responsible for the persecution, killing, starvation of Biafrans. Finland is not merely complicit, but is directly helping sustain the conditions that force millions into humanitarian dependency. And that is exactly what they are waiting for. Finland is waiting for us to go to camps where they will come and claim that they are giving us humanitarian aid. If not, why then will they continue to detain our Prime Minister Mazi Simon Ekpa after the Canadian court have already told them that these people, let's assume they don't know before, because I believe every single information that the Canadian authorities have, that judge have, Finland have more. Finland have more information than that Canadian judge had. Because I'm very, very aware of the load of information that Mazi Simon Ekpa have delivered to them on camera and off camera, which every one of us saw. For Finland to turn around and continue to detain our Prime Minister Mazi Simon Ekpa is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. And that makes them complicit in terrorist activities. Because when you sponsor and aid terrorism in one way or the other, you are a terrorist. And Finland cannot escape this. And one of the Tosong Vans there said, somebody who wrote and said, the entire Africa continent agree with the Canadian Federal Court, the APC political party, the ruling party in Nigeria, under the leadership of the criminal President Bola Tinubu, is a terrorist organization. Every African country agrees with that judgment. Nobody questioned it. Nobody. Nobody questioned that. We all agree with it, and it is true. We all agree with it. There is no doubt whatsoever that Nigeria is a terrorist country. You know, when we say it all this while, people will think, oh, they are talking online, they are making a talk. No. This time it has been said by a foreign body. You know, most of you Africans, you always respect what a white man says. When a fellow black person gives information, you don't abide to it, neither will you listen to it until when a white man comes to confirm it. Thank God they have confirmed it. The continued detention of Prime Minister Simon Ekpa Njoko signal a global crisis, one that demands a serious re-evaluation of international relations and the very norms that govern them. The world now stands at a crossroad where a state like Finland openly disregards its own constitution on human rights, along with established international norms, laws, treaties, principles, and common values. When norms and due process are trampled upon, the oppressed are steamed into awareness, those who have long endured systemic tyranny, blatant violation of human dignity, and the deliberate imposition of artificial belief designed to manipulate human consciousness. Such actions inevitably awaken resistance. The end goal of fear and systemic controls led there. The abduction of a foreign head of state, legitimately present in Finland, and also a Finnish national, constitute not only a grave violation, but an act of international sabotage, such as abuse, demand accountability at the highest level up to and including the resignation of those responsible. Of course, but because he's a Biafran, because he's a black person from a black country and a Biafran, nothing is going to be done. That is why I say that they have already made up their mind that any crime against the Biafran people does not amount to a crime. Crime against Biafran does not amount to a crime. This we have continued to see again and again, and it is unacceptable. We demand the unconditional release of our Prime Minister Simon Ekpa wherever he is. We cannot continue to keep silent. He has not committed any crime. All he was saying is, let my people go. All he was saying is, let my people go. Master Simon Ekpa was only saying, let my people go. He has not committed any crime against anybody. He was not. Master Simon Ekpa was only protecting his own land. Master Simon Ekpa was only doing the needful. Was only making sure that the loss of life in Biafra land stops. And we have seen it. Since after the kidnapping of Master Simon Ekpa, you can now see what is happening in Biafra land. The attack from the terrorists, in uniform and off uniform have increased to the highest level. The attack has increased. Attack of the terrorists have increased. And there is nothing anybody can do about that. Just like the detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Each time they take away the leaders of Biafra, the problem doubles and their calamity increases. Biafrans are not the problem of Nigeria. The Biafran people are not the problem of Nigeria. Nigeria has a foundational problem. And for you to solve that foundational problem, you need to destroy the old foundation and lay a new foundation. That is what the Biafran people are trying to do. Take out the old foundation and lay a new foundation. Once the foundation is faulty, there is nothing the righteous can do. It is very clear. It does not matter the system you bring into Nigeria. It doesn't matter who is in charge. It doesn't matter who you hand it over to. As long as the person continues to work under that name called the Zoological Republic Nigeria, it will never succeed. It will never succeed. The Biafran people have looked through it right, left, and center, and we are profiling solution, a lasting solution. And that has been the job of the Biafran from day one in that contraption called Nigeria. From the onset, their job has always been to provide solution. But unfortunately, each time we provide a solution, it bounces us. It comes back on us in a very bad way. Each time Biafran people make a move to save Nigeria, it falls back on us in a very bad way. Loss of life, genocide, attacks, hatred. Several times moves have been made to save Nigeria and make it a country by Biafrans. There is no other region in Nigeria that's interested in saving that zoo. The only people that have been interested in saving the zoo and making it a country from day one are the Biafran people. Up to this day, they are the only people who are trying to make that contraption a country, but it never works. That was why we come to the conclusion that it is only laying a new foundation that is going